Meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance, please. So if everyone would stand. Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. We'll start over here.
Chuck Atkinson, ACA for Development and Recreation, Beaufort County.
Shannon Limper, Director of Beaufort County Parks and Rec.
Antoinette Bennett, Aquatic Manager.
Matt Wise, Deputy Director for Parks and Rec.
George Bush, I am the Program Director for the Cerrala High School Alumni Association, Bluffton.
Heather Clint, Senior Administrative Specialist for Parks and Rec.
I'm Susan Boyd. I'm just a resident pickleball player.
Shay Jones, resident of Beaufort County.
Ellie Levin, resident pickleball player.
Scott Whitehead, pickleball player.
Arthur Levin, resident pickleball player.
Okay. I'm Bruce Yeager, the chairman, and I'm from the south of the Broad, Bluffton.
Will McCullough, Vice Chair, north of the Broad.
Kenny Mack, Board Member Beaufort.
Bill Brown, Military Rep.
Ryan?
Ron Campbell, north of the Broad.
All right, very good. Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Very good. Public comment. So, are you all here for public comment?
I would just like to say we're very grateful for the public hearings that are being held now and very impressed with Wooden Partners and Pros Consulting. And we appreciate Shannon's great support. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Anybody else? No?
No.
Okay. Shay?
Yeah, sure.
Shay, feel free to go up to the podium if you'd like. Okay.
Thank you. I'm just here on behalf, it's listed in the minutes, about the possibility of fees being waived for our church.
Okay. And sir?
I'm here for the same aspect of possibility of fees being waived.
I was going to say raising fees now.
Sir.
We don't like to raise fees, sir, but if you like us,
We'll take that
We're really gonna push for it.
later.
all right.
For our association as well, for two events that we're going to have at the MC Riley Park. The first event is going to be on May 20th.
But you're actually on the agenda today, sir. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to you at that point. All right. Very good. Well, thank you all for being here. We appreciate that. Have you all reviewed the August minutes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or corrections on anything in the minutes?
It's January minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
January.
January 13th. Yeah, my bad. January 13th. Okay. There's a correction to the agenda is review and approval of the January minutes. Some little things here.
Yeah, I got January and August.
Okay. All right.
Good catch.
Move that we approve the minutes as presented with the correction being that they're January 2022 as opposed to August 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. Let's move on to the director's report.
So an update on Lynn Brown. Lynn Brown's been open, starting to pick up on business, especially in the afternoons. The week of March the 14th, we expect the delivery via tractor trailer of all of our workout equipment for that facility. So hopefully once that takes place, we'll pick up daytime. We still have some pickleball people coming in, playing in the mornings. We have put down tape so that the only thing that has to be done is the nets need to be moved to both sides. So other than that, everything seems to be going well, and hopefully, like I said, business will pick up on that once the equipment comes in. A downtown tennis update, so March the 14th will be the third reading of the approval, and per engineering, the project will get started at the end of March. We will start the demolition, pulling down the fences and that kind of stuff, so we should be looking at that by the end of March.
Is there a proposed or assumed end date for that project?
I do not have that. They expect anywhere between 9 to 12 months, considering that we are redoing virtually everything out there.
And that's fully funded already, is that correct?
That is. They're waiting on the March the 4th, was it the 14th that I think it said? The March the 14th, third reading of the balance of the money through the sale of Bob Jones. The
Okay.
approval for that.
Did we have any determination of, I know there was some open question as to what could be named for that facility or for the courts there. Has there been any further discussion about that?
You guys voted for the Arthur Middleton,
Yeah.
correct? And I think that per council, someone has to have passed away by 5 years, I believe it
What it was
is.
for Bruce Edgerly,
Yeah.
it was a 5-year wait.
So we have to, that's, information's been passed on, but we have to wait the amount of time.
Yeah, I had thought at one time we had discussed something, you couldn't name a complex after someone, but you could name like the courts after him at the Beaufort tennis complex or something like that.
No, I think you can name the complex, but you have to wait until
Okay.
the 5-year period of them being gone.
So we have 4 years left? Is it,
I don't think it's been, I think it's been longer than that.
has it maybe with COVID?
Yeah, it's been 2 or 3 years,
COVID?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, okay.
So, bathroom updates, so we've been working on the drawings for, going back and forth with Beaufort Design Build and engineering. We wanted to come up with some drawings that we could start using at each of the parks as we put in bathroom facilities. So this is what we came up with so that, when you look at this, whether it's from the field, tennis courts or whatever, it looks like a 2-sided type building. And this is what we finally come up with. With the Beaufort Design Build is finalizing the drawings, and then we will go out for the invitation for bid. And beginning March the 18th on that, and we should get construction underway for bathrooms at Old Burton Wells and at Bruce Edgerly. I was gonna say Bob Jones, I don't know why. So those two we should have hopefully under construction by early May.
And so are you saying that that's going to be a design moving forward for
That will be a design
most parks
for the most
that need
part.
replacement?
So that we can not go through this design process again. We will just have it, done. This is the set of drawings and we'll be able to use it. Both will have men and women's restrooms as well as a small storage space on the end.
Yeah, and I guess that depends also on the size of the facility, right? I mean, in terms of
Yeah, these are
capacity.
more for the outdoor,
Okay.
smaller facilities.
Okay.
Drinking fountain at the end, okay.
Yes. Bluffton indoor pool, so I'm not sure if you guys have heard or not. Thank you. Not sure if you guys have heard or not, but the Bluffton indoor pool was closed down. The engineering that came out to look at the pool, to see what needed to be done to the pool, recommended that we shut it down due to safety issues. So administration went back and requested a second engineering firm come in and look at it and make determination. They came back in and determined the same thing, that we needed to vacate the pool and it needed emergency repairs. So those will be moved along quicker because it is an emergency repair. They are gonna have to go in and remove part of the roof. fix the beams that are not secure. And according to Chuck, they may or may not put back the entire roof. So we will see what they determine that needs to be done. Long term, I think what their thought process is we do what we need to do to get through the next 5 years and look at the construction of a new pool, not on school property. So trying to figure out where we can build a better pool, safer pool, something that will be more user friendly.
Are the safety concerns from a layman's perspective, is it like rust falling in or fear of collapse or what's the?
Both.
Okay.
Okay, so we've been down this road for quite some time with this pool, right? And don't we have money set aside for these repairs?
We
A
have,
certain amount?
well, we had money set aside for the 3 pools.
Right.
For repairs. All 3 of them have been resurfaced. Inflation wise, I can honestly say that resurfacing the last time we did it was 25,000-30,000. It was over 100,000 for each pool this time. So the 500,000 that was set aside is not, doesn't have a lot left in it due to the resurfacing of each of the pools.
Okay, so when we get these folks that come out and give us recommendations, then what's that next step? Going back to council and looking, I mean, how would that be funded?
So with emergency repairs, we have an emergency fund.
Can we talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
More than welcome.
Yeah. So the pools are tough. If it's a good afternoon, by the way. So I'm gonna back up and just give a brief history of the pools. The pools are 22, 23 years old. They started as a partnership with the school district. That's, it's MC Riley, Beaufort High, and Battery Creek. Those are the 3 locations. So the school district gave the land and originally $800,000 to construct the 3 pools. We operate, maintain the pools, and then the second graders swim in the pools and get swim lessons. So that brings everybody up to sort of their origin. Over time, the caustic environment, especially in the pool in Bluffton, because it's so heavily used, has eroded the roof beams. 10% of the beams are gone, 30% are compromised, and so at this point, they said, we need to get out of the buildings because if a high wind event, thunderstorm, something like that comes, we don't want the roof to fall in on anybody. So the pools are currently closed. We have some ARPA money and some money that was left over from previous budgets that we're gonna facilitate these repairs. The question is, how can we keep the pool open as long as we can and affect the repairs? So right now, the facilities maintenance group is talking about removing the roof before we put everything out to bid for replacement, because that's kind of a long process. Use the pool through the summer, get the bids, and then when we have the bids and everything is in place, order all the pieces and parts, have them here, reclose the pool, reconstruct the roof, and then reopen it. Now, this is a temporary issue, right? When you look at it long-term, 5-10-year plans. The discussions right now are, how do we provide more lanes south of the Broad? Clearly, they're needed. Do we put a facility at off of school grounds, perhaps at Bluffton Center or a different, new piece of property, purchase a piece of property and build it? The challenge there is the Charleston folks just did one, and it was $25 million. So that's a pretty tall order. Where how do you pay for that? So right now, the group that did the assessment on the pool, when we met with them, I asked for a good, better, best. Good being, how do we get another 5 to 7 years out of the pools? That's the good. The better is, how do we make the pools usable long-term, assuming the school district is going to want to renew their lease in 2025. They've indicated to us that they certainly want to do that because they train, the second graders how to swim. And then best would be all of the above, right? So that's kind of where we are with the pool as far as specifics on how we're gonna pay for all that, we don't know yet. But we do know what the need is, and we're gonna do everything we can to keep the pools open for as long as we can. Does that help?
It does. I was curious about when that lease expired, and obviously the genesis of that happening, however many years ago, was drowning in the community.
Absolutely.
And so I've been on this board for a fair amount of time, and the costs of maintenance and maintaining pools is significant. So, I would hope that in any discussion with the school district that we would look in terms of that lease being something that can hopefully help us kind of cover our costs there, because I think we really, if we really dig deep in here, we've got a big number that we have to fund, and I'm not so sure we know 100% of what that is.
Yeah, well, we really don't. And anytime you look at like an aquatic center or whatnot, say we built the $25 million facility, there are operating expenses that go along with that. So that's kind of understood. If you build it, you have to run it, right? And that becomes a recurring item in every budget year after that. So that will be considered, yes.
Okay, because I do know that each school has a swim team, right? And so, the locations on the school properties made sense at one time for all of that, but, it may get to a point, and I'm sure that everyone's gonna look at that, where that larger expense becomes cash flow sufficient on its own, or at least pays for 60% of it versus 25% of it.
Yeah, sure. When you look at 22 years ago, this was a very different place.
Certainly,
If
yeah.
you look at the dynamic growth that's taking place, especially south of the Broad, the demand for additional lanes because of all the swim teams, different things, it's there. And it's outgrown the facilities that we've had. So part of the master plan, folks are coming out, attending the meetings, letting the master plan contractor know, hey, this needs to be included. Once we get all of that, we get the master plan, then we start the discussion of how we prioritize and pay for all of these needs. So
Pools are a part of the master plan.
they are absolutely.
It got brought up a
Good,
lot.
very
Yes,
good.
absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, the Buckwalter Expansion, working, it has to be approved through the town of Bluffton. The master plan has to be reapproved because, as it's been mentioned before, the wetlands took over a lot of the land. Beaufort County was the last to draw a permit, so everything was built around it, so everything's kind of been taken over with wetlands. This is our existing 3 soccer fields. This will be the much-needed additional parking. This will be 2 more additional soccer fields here, and then when you come into the circle, this will be, instead of the baseball complex that we were hoping for that got taken over with the wetlands, this will be 2 more additional soccer fields that hopefully we can run adult sports on and keep them kind of separated from the youth sports. This is at the end that runs along the 46. And this is the tennis complex that has been proposed with a very large tennis center upstairs to hold a very large meeting room. We have daily requests for meetings at Buckwalter, and Buckwalter is now getting very busy with dance classes, yoga classes, Zumba classes, and stuff like that. So we've asked for this to be a 2nd story meeting facility type thing, whereas if there was a big tennis tournament, which we expect will happen probably pretty often, they could also have a larger meeting space as well. This particular, we are going to move, this is the maintenance shed, and there was some additional parking that was coming back here, so we're going to try to move the maintenance shed back here kind of out of view. So. The master plan update. So on Monday, we had our master plan meeting at Buckwalter. On Tuesday, we had our master plan meeting at Burton Wells and then went to Dale afterwards. And last night, we had our master plan meeting at Scott. And next Thursday, we have our master plan meeting at Lynn Brown. And that will conclude all the public meetings that are open. Buckwalter went very well. It was, a lot of people came out for pickleball, a lot of people came out for swim. We had a few people that came out for soccer fields that were unaware of what's being built. And then we had a lot of write-ins for the need of baseball, because as we know, north of the Broad, we have plenty of fields. South of the Broad, we're very limited to the point that we're probably gonna have to cap registration at some point because of the need of fields. And the adult softball as well as the adult kickball are growing. We are now going to take the adult kickball, one of the seasons for that, to save time, use of the fields, and do adult dodgeball. So to try to see if we can take some heat off of the fields. Burton Wells went well. We had pickleball out there again. We had some tennis out there. We had some baseball people out there. So it went really well. Dale Community Center went well. There was talks of trying to get more senior activity out there, which, is something that we are currently working on anyway. So, that was a plus. The Scott meeting, it was pretty heated. A lot of their concerns have already been addressed but at these meetings, it's not one of those situations where we can stand up and say, because the consultants want to listen to what they want to hear. So a lot of their concerns, the resurfacing of the courts, stuff like that, that's already been in the works. POs have been done for months on that. They've been waiting on the weather to warm back up, which thankfully it has. So he's already scheduling to come out this month to do those Gloria pots and the rest of the courts throughout the county. So Charles Lynn Brown should be pretty good. They've been to most every meeting, and their biggest concerns are they want to see a Buckwalter type facility more centrally located in the Beaufort area. So, which most of us agree to, but like Chuck said, then you have to figure out where the funding and stuff's going to come from.
Have you been seeing the same people at all the meetings?
Quite a few of them.
Or have they been representative of the areas that that entity, that facility?
There's been a few different people, but for the most part, we've seen a lot of the same people at each of the meetings. So, the playbeaufortcounty.com is the website. It's up. It will be up throughout the duration of this project. I encourage everybody to visit it. It's got all the information. There will be what they're doing is sending out about 2,000 surveys throughout Beaufort County. They're just they go out randomly. They have a survey company that handles it. Not everyone will get a survey, but they will have a survey monkey of the same survey on this website that everybody can go in and use. They don't use the Survey Monkey. They use the results, but not as high as they use the mail results, because anybody can get 10 of their friends from Georgia to go on there and do it. So they look at it, but it doesn't weigh as heavy as the mail out. March the 16th at 1 p.m. I sent each of you today a Zoom meeting request. That is the Parks and Rec Board meeting with the consultants and with Wooden Partners and Pro Consulting. Neelay Bhatt will be at the meeting. He will basically go through the same thing with you guys that he has with staff, as well as the community meetings, and listen to your concerns, thoughts that you have, and ask for your input as well. And so if each of you could make sure that you put that down, it will be a Zoom. and try and attend the meeting.
At that point in time, will we get any feedback from them as to what's happened so far at all? This is just another group?
This is just another
Just a
group.
survey group?
They'll meet with you guys, and then they'll meet Zoom with the Hilton Head folks, and then that will conclude most of their, they do inventory. They have, Matt and I spent 2 days on the road with them, touring every single facility, going inside of it, letting them take pictures, looking at, seeing the needs, the wants, and they listen to everything. They met with staff to see does staff have, they met with maintenance, admin staff, programming staff, all, and that became a topic of discussion last night because the Scott community felt like that somebody was left out of that, but that was another step of this process. It wasn't leaving anyone out of those group discussions. It was basically to meet with staff to say, do you have the right equipment to cut the grass? Do you have the right office space that you need? What kind of customer service is being given? You know, what kind of phone calls do you get? Just anything and everything that they felt like staff needed to tell them that they could weigh in on the master plan. Are you adequately staffed? Do you need staff? You know, so.
Well, I think there's a tendency for most people who are users of recreation to view the master plan as being, you know, what facilities are we going to have and what programs are we going to have, and they lose sight of the fact that we have to have people in place and they have to have the resources to implement the things we're doing now as well as things in the future. And so I think there's a tendency of people to, you know, not see that big picture. So, you know, that's
One of the things that Neelay explains to people, you know, that this is a 5 to 10 year plan. This is what we lay out. You know, we listen to the suggestions, we listen to the things, we look at the things. You know, we look at everything. We look at what you own, what you lease, you know, what you rent, what you bought. They look at everything. So, you know, all that goes back into the study and is presented to council, you know, for council's approval, and that will come later on.
Do we have any, you said they're going to send out 2,000 surveys, right? Mm-hmm. So are they just going to random homeowners or
So
residents?
he explained that, and he'll explain that to you in the meeting, but yes, basically, they hire a survey company that randomly sends it out.
Because I would think that in general, that it would make sense for us to send surveys to people who are using our services as well as others, you know, so.
And they do that, and then they follow up with phone calls, so they really go out to try to make sure that these surveys come back to them.
And so once that comes back, then how long does it take before we get the report?
All of it'll be on the website. It'll be left up for a while. It'll be left up. One of the other things that we learned through Neelay is they have a app that we are looking at now. I've spoken with Eric about it the other night. It's called Happy Feet. It's something that everyone that has done the master plans with them seems to like and utilize. And basically, every single person that goes into a park, a facility, a center, they can say what made them happy in the park today, what made them mad at the park today. There was a broken water fountain, there's, you know, need for parking. So it will allow us to immediately get things that go on at the park all the time. It'll come to our email. We'll be able to quicker facilitate repairs than waiting on someone else to report it. Somebody could report it that night and we could facilitate repairs. So that's one of the things that you'll see here shortly. He sent me the information today that we're gonna move forward with as well.
Great.
You're up.
Oh, thank you. Let me give you guys this forward. first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to do a short presentation upon our request. When I said our request, I'm talking about the Michael Cerrala High School Alumni Association. For those of you who have been in or around the Bluffton area, particularly on Goldie Road, the Michael Cerrala Park there, in addition to the softball, the baseball complex and the basketball complex, to the extreme right, I guess that would be headed south on Goldie Road, you have the Michael Cerrala, the former high school Michael Cerrala commemorative garden and wall there. And what we are in the process of doing is to revitalize, refurbish that entire area, which in essence will not only enhance that facility and site, but it will also enhance the entire Mike Cerrala Recreation Complex as well. I spoke with all of the permitting has been done, which is required by Beaufort County. Also, Bluffton Township required a certain amount of permits as well. So we've gotten all of that done. We're going to have two events in particular at the site. One is going to be a fundraising event, and that's going to be a radio telethon fundraiser, which is scheduled for May 28th. And it's going to be held right on site there. And we have requested usage for that purpose. And the second event is going to be an all-class reunion, which is scheduled for Labor Day, September 5th of 2022. And I've spoken with, as I made requests through the contracts that I sent to the Buckwalter site, Eva, I think that's her name.
It is.
Yeah, thank you. Eva, I asked her to please let me know, to quote me, what it would be, what fees we would have to pay in order to use it. And she indicated it would be $500 per usage. And I'm here today to ask you to, not to set a precedent on our behalf, but to waive those fees for us, because we're indeed nonprofit, and we simply don't have any monies. I don't have a problem with the recreation uses of the facility fees. I just want those fees to be waived for us at this particular request.
They're enhancing our park.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have two questions, sir.
Sure.
Was Shannon and her ground staff part of the design plan so that the plants that are going there, her staff has the ability to keep the upkeep?
When he called me, I put him in touch with Jack, our facility maintenance superintendent, so he has been
Oh,
working
yeah,
with Jack.
everything in terms of through the recreation department through Beaufort County, we took all the necessary steps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well informed.
Are there any costs associated with them utilizing this? Obviously, they're improving the area, but is there any cost associated with these specific requests that the county would have to incur as far as trash removal, cleanup, or anything like that, or is it essentially a wash?
I think you guys would.
We are in position to do trash removal, cleaning the restroom.
There's no overhead from the county perspective, correct?
No, and we clean the restrooms anyway every day, so it would be nothing different than what we do each day.
And when we're talking Michael C. Riley for each of these events, yes, sir, thank you. Is the what site are you going to need? Are you going to need the entire site?
For the radio telethon, we're only going to need usage of the basketball court because the radio telethon is going to be set up right on the courts.
Okay.
And obviously, as people come in, also too, obviously we're going to need usage of the restrooms.
Yeah,
Restrooms.
That
certainly.
makes sense.
Yeah, and that would occur in terms of restroom usage, would occur for both events. The all-class reunion, we're going to need uses for the entire site, including, because it's going to be, just envision a big tailgating type party where you're going to set up, each graduating class is going to have their own tents.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to have tents all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only thing we would have to concern ourselves with that is to make sure that there's no stakes where the irrigation is. My only concern, and I'm gonna turn to Matt because I didn't realize that y'all were gonna do the telethon there. My only concern to that is gonna be that is a Saturday, May the 28th is baseball season because the parking there is really bad. And the second parking lot has been taken away from us for the construction that's going on of the sewage down Michael C. Raleigh.
You talk about the one that's further down the road in the back way there?
All that.
Isn't there still some parking very limited up around this commemorative area?
It is, but on Saturdays, they're parked all down there.
Now, I think, I'm not really sure, because we checked those particular dates, and I think the 28th.
Is that Memorial Day weekend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then we're,
28th.
I think
Yeah,
we're
and that's
done.
later in the season,
Yeah, it's
so.
later, so I
We're
think we're
good.
pretty much done then
okay,
anyway.
all
But
right.
Yeah, that's what she said.
if it's Memorial Day weekend, then.
Yeah, then we're good.
What about, so you are, the Alumni Association, are you a 501c3 or something, or are you just?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I gave her the paperwork.
Okay, so will you have insurance for that event?
They'll need to get insurance.
They'll need to get an
Yes, they'll
insurance
still need to
policy
get
for that
insurance
event, so
policy,
we're
correct.
covered there, right?
How do we do, we get that through you, or how do we handle that?
I can explain it.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I'll help you with that.
Okay. Well, I think having a community, I mean, that site is obviously tied to the school, and the park bears the name, and there's the commemorative area there that could definitely use some improvement. So it's part of the history of Bluffton, and so I think it's a neat thing that you're doing, and would only enhance the park. So
I have a motion.
right ahead.
I move that, subject to this entity providing proof of insurance to staff prior to it taking place, that we agree to waive fees for both of these events, for this entity specifically, and that any future requests for comparable reductions or elimination of fees we brought forward to this board for approval. But in this case, that it is approved, subject to proof of insurance being provided to the staff prior.
Second?
Any discussion? Anyone have any questions? Is this something?
On a case-by-case basis?
Say that again, Ryan.
Would that be on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, that was my motions for this. This is for these two specific events for this specific entity, subject to them providing proof of insurance to staff prior. And that any future requests comparable to this, whether from this entity or any other, would have to come before the board.
Okay, correct, I got it.
It seems like it's a win-win.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it.
We haven't finished.
Well, we have,
Someone want to
You can still say.
call the question?
yeah, like to call it to question.
Okay. All in favor of the motion as stated?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Absolutely appreciate it. And I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Not that I don't wanna help, but the rest of what you got to
No,
say.
there's a requirement. If you come, you have to stay at the end. All right. All right. Yes, sir, it is. Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time. I'll be very honest and say that I did not know that I'd be getting up in front of so many people and having to speak in this manner, but that's all right. First, I want to say thank you to, I don't remember her last name, Eva, the person that I've been speaking with. She is the kind of employee that you want to answer the phone and talk to. And having worked for the county and being that voice for Veteran Affairs for a short season, you want to talk to someone very nice. And so just tell her that I said thank you for all her help. So I am representing Cross Community Church. We currently meet at the YMCA on Sundays, 9 o'clock, 10:45. I serve as the ministry assistant and then the assistant to our lead pastor. And we'll make it very short. I am here because we, praise the Lord, are building a facility and we're breaking ground on March 6th, so this coming Sunday. And we have the property by the Shell Point Park. It's 1 Hamrick Drive. We purchased 14 acres back there and we're doing a groundbreaking service. Like I mentioned, we have some neighbors in the area who are gonna let our congregation park, but we are just thinking and anticipating that it will be a pretty big show out. So we were just thinking, well, where are some other places that we could park as well? And so we thought about the Shell Point Park and being able to usher people to our property. And so I'm here this afternoon after speaking with Eva. She mentioned that it was a $500 fee, and not that we are of course like able to and would be happy to comply, but I just wanted to come this afternoon and just ask. We just want to use the parking lot from like 3:30 to about 4:30, and just the parking lot. We're not going to be using the park, just for folks to be able to walk to our property. And so that is what I'm here requesting, that $500 either fee be waived, or, because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking so logistically, how many chairs that would get us in our facility, that $500. And if we don't have to, then by all means, but if we do, then we'll do what we have to do. But thank you for your time again.
So you're talking 1 hour of public use of our parking lot in order for you, and you're building a facility there. Will you be contiguous to the park when your facility's built?
We won't, no sir.
Okay, but you will be neighbors.
We will be neighbors, but we'll have plenty of parking.
Okay,
But we will be neighbors, so who's to say what that could look like in the future for doing maybe some sort of events there.
But really, you're just asking to use our parking for an hour for your groundbreaking ceremony.
Yes, sir.
Any logistical input from staff as to how it may or may not hinder any other things going on at that time?
I don't think, it's a Sunday.
It's on Sunday, and I did talk to Eva, and one of her concerns was pickleball, which I realized that pickleball is pretty popular these days. I had no idea. But she said pickleball is usually wrapped up by that time. So our groundbreaking isn't until 4:30, but we anticipate people arriving around 3:40 to kind of park and walk on over. And it's going to be about a 40-minute service.
I don't think there'll be an issue at all.
Okay, someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we're allowed to use the parking lot.
I second that motion.
Okay. Motion that they use the parking lot on that day for that time?
I would amend the motion to state that they are permitted to use that parking lot free of any fee for this specific event.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
$500.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yes.
And we will allow you to leave too, Shay, if you would like. But if you would like to stay, you're more than welcome. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that invitation. I will depart.
There you go.
Thank you all so much for your time.
So I found this lovely picture of Mike online.
That was a few years.
You didn't have a picture of him in his heritage hat and everything?
All I could find. Anyways, so Mike sent Bruce an email, and I believe he's joined the Town of Hilton Head Recreation Commission. Felt like it would be a conflict of interest. So after, I think it was 21 or 23 years, I looked it up, 21 years, he is stepping down off of the Parks and Rec Board. I've worked with him all of these years, so it's, gonna be strange not to have him, yeah. I've had him, like I said, I've been here 21 years too, so.
Well, Mike's gonna be hard to replace. He's a good guy. He's still gonna be working as he always does for Beaufort County, even though he's gonna be with the town and for the betterment of the whole community. I did speak with him. He couldn't make it today, but I did ask that he come at our next meeting so we could recognize him, and he said that he could do that.
Okay, and we have replaced him. Matt.
You can't replace Mike now.
Well, we
Yeah, you
replaced
have
his
someone to sit
seat.
next
Okay, all right.
We
very
replaced
good.
his seat. Matt recommended that we ask Alan Arsenault to apply for the position, and he was more than happy to.
I know Alan.
A great guy.
Yeah.
He will be very vocal and helpful, and has been. He served on the Bluffton Youth Sports Board for a very long time. He's very involved in the community and is an extremely hard worker, so I think that he will be a benefit to have. I think he will be a good replacement in that seat.
So will he be approved and seated by our next meeting?
Monday.
So it goes to committee on Monday, then the following Monday, it will go to council, and it's one reading and done.
Yeah, so by the next May meeting, he will be able to join us.
Very good.
Yeah. And that was the amount.
Good afternoon. Just give my rundown of what's been going on with our athletics. Specifically, basketball season went pretty well, both Beaufort and in Bluffton. We hosted district tournaments last week in Bluffton for certain age groups. Our 8U boys actually won one of the age groups. And our 8U girls, both in Beaufort and Bluffton, there's not many 8U girls programs across the state, so they automatically advanced. There was no district play. So all three of those teams are going to Myrtle Beach this Saturday to participate in the state tournament. So it'll be a good event. Unfortunately, I think there's a marathon going on in Myrtle Beach this weekend, so it's going to be a pretty high traffic area. But anyway, they should have a good time going down there. Good weather like we have. So just picture, here's the 8U boys that moved on to state after winning districts. A lot of them, they're probably 10 or 11. Kids are a lot bigger these days, it seems. And then our 12U girls actually were runner-up in the district, so for Bluffton. So there's the 12U girls picture.
So do the 8U boys coach themselves or what?
I guess the coaches didn't want to get in the picture. Probably a good idea. Spring sports registration. Most of our sports registrations are over with. We're filling in some of our age groups, but it's been a great season for us. The numbers have exploded. Youth baseball, we'll run down with Beaufort first. Youth baseball's up. It's about 60 kids. We have 280 signed up for youth baseball. Flag football, as y'all know, it's only been 2 or 3 years since we could ever even get that league off the ground in Beaufort, and now we have 100 kids playing, and that's nice. Having to go up against a lot of different upper sports. You know, they have their flag football program in Beaufort, so it's really good that that's growing. Soccer, like I said, 2 years ago, I don't even think we had 300 kids playing. Now we have 475 signed up for this season, so it's going really well. And youth softball even, we usually are scrounging to get 1 or 2 teams, and we have 64 signed up. We have 3 age groups instead of just 1 or 2 now with 1 team. We have multiple teams in a couple age groups, and then 1 7 and 8-year-old girls team that, since I've been here 5 years, we haven't been able to get enough girls to sign up. So kids are wanting to play. As you can see, there's 192 more kids signed up to play those sports this year compared to last season, last spring season, that is.
So that's almost 20%?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Bluffton's no different. Baseball numbers were a little down last year. I think we had around 440 kids signed up. As you can see, it's almost 100 kids more than last year playing baseball in Bluffton. And as Shannon spoke to, we're almost busting at the seams trying to figure out how to get practices and games in for youth baseball in Bluffton. Youth football, or youth flag football, is seeing a tremendous tick, in Bluffton as well. That's kind of a nationwide trend, as y'all know. We had, I think, 215 last spring. We have 294 this spring. And that's going through the waiting list process, too. I won't be surprised by the end if we have over 300 kids playing. Lacrosse, it's more steady, but we still saw an increase. I think we had 70 last year, 79 this year. As y'all know, it's a specialized sport that's only getting bigger in the South. In youth soccer, it's the biggest sport we have, both sides, north and south, abroad. But Bluffton numbers 874. That's over 100 more kids than we had last spring. We had 770, I believe. And then youth softball as well is growing in Bluffton. Then we have 130 signed up last year. We have 176. So that's a good sign. Youth softball numbers have been declining for years everywhere. And it's good to see that, at least in our area, we're seeing it improve. So, the total increase from spring 2021, 307 kids. So that's really good to see the growth on both sides. It's attested to, and population, but it's also attested our athletic staff has really done a good job of organizing our programs and getting kids out there that want to play in that type of league.
How many did we have in basketball this year?
Basketball, I believe we had roughly 800 in Bluffton, and we had over 300 in Beaufort, which they were both higher. Granted, the year before was, indoor COVID, kind of was still really in people's, it's still in people's minds, but back then it was a little tougher. So their numbers really jumped from 2021 to 2022. I see, and summer basketball is getting bigger, so it's going to be interesting to see this summer how many kids we have signed up for basketball.
What's your age limits in basketball, boys? How should go?
We signed up to 16. Actually, we advertised 17, but we rarely get more than 1 or 2 17-year-olds, and depending on their caliber, 13 to 17 is a big difference, as you know. So sometimes it depends on if we. A lot of times the parent don't want them to play because if they're 17, only 17-year-old, they don't want to play if they're not really and their friends are out there. But we do have a 13 to 16-year-old program. We'll get some 16-year-olds there.
And the state 8 and under, that's a double elimination?
No, it's just single.
Just single?
And with Scout, they're trying to figure out different ways to change that because it is tough to make people drive all the way over there.
One game you come back.
Right. And and the difficulty at the rec level is just travel ball. I think people already have that mindset. They're willing to pay for it. Recreation, they're not. There's a lot of areas like City of Charleston, North Charleston, just in our district, for example, they pay. They have to bus their kids, and they pay for their hotels. They pay for all their food. So there's a lot of recreation departments that still do that, and it's really tough for them to commit paying for a night or even 2 nights. So that's why SCAP's kind of stuck to the single elimination when it comes to basketball, soccer, volleyball, things of that nature. But that's definitely a hot topic because it's tough because a lot of I think all of our teams are traveling tonight, Friday night, staying and playing Saturday morning.
Yes, I coach AAU basketball. It's tough to go up there. Like you said, you're funding everything. One game, you're coming back. So.
Yeah, you want to at least get 2 in if you can.
Exactly.
Some of the current registrations we have going on, as y'all know, we have the older kids do not start playing for youth baseball until after the middle school season is over with. So we're still registering kids for youth baseball ages 13 to 15. That doesn't end until April 8th. We are taking registration for youth tennis clinics, both in Beaufort and Bluffton. That's run by Public Tennis. Wayne Lidley and that group do a really good job of organizing that. We've partnered with them for years, and I know we talked to Monique in the St. Helena area last night. She's wanted to get together and get us something going out there at either, I guess, Wesley, Felix, or Scott area. So we'll have something hopefully here soon about that. Adult sports in Bluffton, we're taking team and player registration. If y'all don't know what most of you do, we take teams get their players to just sign up free. They pay a team fee. So adult softball registration is going on just for the teams until March 31st. The players will keep signing up into the season. So
the current fee is for softball
$475 or $450. I'm sorry, $450. It's getting we have to start discussing fees because, as you're well aware, with officials,
it's been that way for a while.
Yeah,
Well, it's not just officials, it's like balls and everything.
Everything's gotten so high.
That seems very low to me. It needs to be addressed.
Just to give you an idea, softballs, be it adult or youth, were pretty consistent. They're a little bit more expensive than baseballs. You get a dozen decent balls for used to $60 roughly, $60 for a dozen balls. Now it's $80. So you're talking about a severe increase in pricing for baseball or softballs. And baseballs have seen that same inflation. They're just not quite as expensive. Adult volleyball registration ends this Friday. That's individual sign-ups, but then we just put it, they sign up as individuals, but they also have their teams that they just put together. But it's still just an individual fee. Once, the next meeting occurs, we'll get all that information to the board on how sign-ups are.
We don't provide any equipment in softball other than balls, though, right?
Correct.
But we provide officials, and they are so hard to get now. And I had to put in the budget this year to increase their pay because it's just impossible.
Yeah, one of the main responsibilities of this board is to review fees. So we need to keep, especially given the inflation that's out there and trying to attract key employees and increasing costs. You know, we have to be able to, we have to be able to know exactly how much we are funding and how much, you know, what percentage of what we have that we're doing. So,
Raise fees and sports.
right.
And
So that's something that I'm just putting on the record here, that we need to go back to those and look at those, get a committee together, and it should be a standing
How your
committee.
officials, Bill, they fees went up?
They're going. We're just redoing contracts the end of this month. For the
$40
year.
a game now?
Pardon?
$40 a game?
Or based upon what we can get out of the feds. You can only go to that rock so many times and get so much.
Yeah, it's tough. They take enough, you know, grief as is, and
I'm not saying they don't earn their money now.
Yeah, I mean, I think in youth baseball, the numbers that come out that the average age of a youth baseball umpire is 65, 60 in some areas.
You know why that is, right? Because they can't hear anymore. And they're willing to sit there and take the abuse. No, I'm just kidding.
It's getting up there that it's.
Well, the abuse is getting to be a bigger problem. I mean, fewer officials are stepping up.
Yeah, nobody wants you get a 25-year-old kid out there that wants to try it out, and he or she sees that, and they're like, I'm not doing this.
They're stepping away from the high schools. High schools are having a real hard time in all sports.
It is.
And it's
Our staff has to
really
get out there plenty of times
and stop
and
things.
umpire, referee games and whatnot. So.
And we've had to walk them to the car.
Jeez, Pete.
Yes.
All right, that's all I have.
Thanks, man.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
This is for the Battery Creek Indoor Pool. Our hours changed because of our Bluffton pool closing. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 12, and then 1 to 7. And then Saturdays for our inflatables from 10:30 to 4:30. We also offer our BOGA classes Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 to 6:30. And our Finn swim team that came from the Bluffton pool is now at Battery Creek for now, and they are from 4:30 to 7:30 every day.
One question. The inflatable use, when you put the inflatables in, did your usage go up?
For the inflatables, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yes.
figured it would.
There have
It
been-
did for us too, so
There
I
have been
bet.
Saturdays that the guards are calling me saying, we need another guard because it's just that crazy.
So how much, since the Bluffton pool's been closed, where's that overflow going? Is it going to both pools or?
Some people are coming to the Battery Creek pool, but then there are patrons that are saying that the drive is just a little too far for them. So, but we do have people coming, just not as much as we would have hoped.
And then what about lessons for the school? Is it out? Are those done now for this,
No,
during
we
this
do
period
have
of time?
school swim lessons currently going on at the pools and everything like that.
So the ones that would have been going on in Bluffton, where are they? Are we,
They haven't decided to come over. They've asked where the other pools are. I've given them that information, but none of them have actually said, yes, we want to come and drive over to this side.
They only go during PE, so it's kind of a,
Time frame.
so does that mean for the Bluffton students that are supposed to be having swim lessons, they're just not getting them at this point?
As of right now, yeah. And I've given, like I said, I've given them the option to
You've
come.
made the school district available that we can allocate space for them at other pools. Okay.
So I think a lot of them are probably deciding to come next school year. I just don't know. They haven't informed me yet.
and we'll look at making it up like we did, with COVID. So, maybe do the third graders with the second graders next year. For those that miss, we just have to wait and see what the time constraints does. Because we could be open through the summer and then have to close again when school starts to fix the roof, so.
Bus up on Saturdays.
For our Beaufort indoor pool, the hours are still Monday. This is supposed to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 8 to 12, and then 1 to 7. And then for our BOGA class, it's on Mondays and Wednesdays, 6 to 6:30. We also offer water aerobics at the Beaufort pool, Mondays and Wednesdays, 1:30 and 2:30. 1:30 to 2:30. And then the next lifeguarding class actually starts tomorrow, which is March 4th through March 11th.
How's our participation in all of these various things that you have here? And I know that we used to have some counts that would show us how many people are using the pool.
For just the regular lap swim, that's the biggest one right now. Not that many are coming for the BOGA class or water aerobics. We've changed the time frames, we've changed the different days, but it's just not a lot.
Does that have to do with COVID too?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The BOGA class itself is, to me, that's geared more towards younger adults. And the ones that are always interested in what is this class are the older adults. And when they come and see it, they're like, no.
We did have it, it was picking up in Bluffton.
It was starting to pick up in Bluffton.
Yeah, we actually got an instructor over there too.
And are these joint programs that we do with the instructors, or are we
Some of them are 70-30.
70-30 programs? Okay.
Yeah, the Bluffton instructor is not very happy.
For our swim lessons, we offer group and private swim lessons, but at this moment, because of staffing, we don't have any lessons scheduled. We're hoping that we will start that really soon. We just need more staff. Our school swim lessons, though, we still are having those going on at Battery Creek and at Beaufort Pool. They're currently going on right now. The hours are between 9 and 12, but the Bluffton schools can come over if they need to come at a different time frame. I've offered that as well. But for Battery Creek, it's until March 31st as of right now, and then for Beaufort, it's till the 31st of March, and then another session's from May 9th to the 19th.
Have you had a big turnout for your swim lesson? I mean, not your swim lessons, your guarding class.
For the lifeguarding classes, not as much as I thought we would. But we've noticed, we've called a lot of other places, a lot of other counties. They're not, yeah.
We're seeing the
Not that many people are wanting to be lifeguards right now.
People just don't want to work right now.
Any other questions for the pools?
Thank you.
All right, so, employee update, Aquatics, we have one assistant aquatics manager to fill. Currently with the Bluffton pool closed, we're not super desperate, so that's not a bad thing if it happens. Lifeguards, 5 full-time, 6 part-time are open. We're pretty desperate. Maintenance, we have 5 positions left to fill. That part has been pretty tough too. And rec aids, we only have 4 positions left to fill. You know,
Are those north of the Broad, south of the Broad, or?
both. We just don't get applications. I don't.
And if you do, only half of them show up for the interview.
What about internships with like USCB and things like that? Have you reached out, has the county reached out to them with people who are
We've
in?
been out there, we've did a job fair out there. We've got one, I think, coming up at TCL. We're beating the bushes and.
Is it in any way reflective of fiscal compensation or just?
Lifeguards, no. They started almost 16. Maintenance, yes. Rec aids, yes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does USCB have any, you know, again, I was out there talking to some students in a business class. I'm just wondering if they have any programs where they require people to get internships in recreation, and maybe we get some free students, you know?
I don't think they do a recreation, no.
There's not many parks and rec schools that have that anymore. Clemson, who else? I think Morris College. There's not very many in the state of South Carolina, and a lot of those get picked up by some of the other areas, Charleston, Greenville, areas like that. It's, to be honest with you, it's too expensive to live here. So a lot of
Right, yeah, I'm just thinking if they're already here and they can get college credit, you know, I
think a lot of them are hospitality, which they go more towards the resorts and restaurants, things, hotels.
Private islands, Data's got a number of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the like the Westin has a recreation department. They have pools that need to be lifeguarded, things like that. Okay.
Next meeting, Thursday, May the 5th, in Bluffton.
I do have one other thing, I didn't bring it, unfortunately. I received it in the mail today, and I just kind of want to put this out there, that Hardyville has a recreation center, a new recreation center. So I know that we get asked on many occasions whether Jasper County people can come to, do we have special rates or whatever. It would be, I mean, they're mailing, business card, not business cards, but an advertising piece to everybody in Bluffton. So, I would think that, I don't know even how that was funded. It appears like it was a town project. Do you know anything about this?
I think it was a town, but I don't know much about it.
Okay, it just looked like they have a gym. It looks like they have a big fitness center. I just think, for us to get additional requests on what we're willing to do for out-of-county people, maybe we should reach out to them and see what their membership rates are and whatever else, and make sure that that we're good neighbors. But on the other hand, also understand when people come to us requests, if they have one in their own town, that maybe they should go to that one. So yeah. I just think that's important. That's all I have.
Any questions?
All right, anything else? So I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Not everybody at once here.
All in favor? Aye. All right, well, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Ron.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.